What's up, everyone? My name is Robbie. Welcome to my channel, Word on the Chain, your one-stop shop for updates, news, and overviews of daily and weekly happenings in this crazy crypto world, so you can invest smarter and ultimately be more successful. Just a little bit about myself. I've been active in the cryptocurrency space for just under 2 years now, and like most of you, am actively investing as well. This is obviously the first video on the channel, so subscribe or like would be greatly appreciated. Come on and be an early adopter. I promise I won't disappoint. But anyway, in all seriousness, anything helps, so I appreciate it, everyone. So, getting started for today's video, I guess we can do that. I wanted to keep it light, no surprise to probably anyone watching this. We are in a pretty downtrending bear market as of late, especially in comparison to a few months ago when everyone and their mama was a hotshot investor, hashtagging Lambo on their Twitter posts, and all that stuff. And then the market went down, and now we're here. So, but believe it or not, I think it's a great time to be involved in crypto. Even though the market isn't booming by any means, and 10x returns aren't like picking apples from a tree anymore, but there's a lot going on in the news right now, and I think that it's where we as investors should be directing a lot of our attention, especially in times like these. So my hope and my goal is that I'll be able to synthesize a lot of what's going on and what's buzzing around in the marketplace and on the news lately, and ultimately help you as an investor take action. So getting started, FUD is rampant. If for those of you who don't know what FUD stands for, it's fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Some of it's warranted, however I think a lot of it isn't. There's a lot of attention on crypto by different regulatory bodies in all parts of the world, and it really just seems like the wild west out there right now, guys. And no government really knows, kind of what the best way to approach the overall situation is. So, that being said, diving into our top stories for today, having to do with mainly regulation, starting off with none other than our favorite Coinbase. As most of you probably know by now, Coinbase decided to support the ERC20 standard. If you're not familiar with ERC20, it's the technical standard used for smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain, and the protocol used for many of the altcoin assets that exist today. In their public announcement, Coinbase's, they said that this, and I quote, paves the way for supporting ERC20 assets across Coinbase products in the future, end quote. So, this announcement comes several weeks after Coinbase added ERC20 token support to its Ethereum wallet and decentralized app browser, DApp browser, Toshi. If you're not familiar with Toshi, it gets its inspiration from the Chinese app WeChat. Coinbase has released a wallet, which is Toshi, that you can download in the App Store. That's ERC20 compatible as well as ERC721 compatible. ERC721 is used for collectibles, so things like crypto kitties or digital art. Digital art is actually something I think is going to be a huge market someday, but let's save that issue for another time. Anyway, my initial reaction to all this is that the U.S.'s largest exchange, Coinbase, is publicly, stating that they're more or less relying and investing heavily in the ERC20 technical standard. So, nobody can say for sure what Coinbase is going to put on, going to list next. I'm sure we all want to know. However, I'd say, this is good news overall for folks that have a lot of Ethereum, as well as that are heavily invested in ERC20 altcoins. In my opinion, and, this isn't financial advice, none of this is. I'm just a guy who really likes crypto and believes in its future. I have to say that. I think we're going to see a few more ERC20 altcoins thrown into the index fund, to help diversify a bit more before bringing any coin fully on, the Coinbase exchange. I'm actually a big fan of the index fund. I know a lot of people when it first came out had mixed feelings, thought it was boring, but in this marketplace right now, I think one of the largest things we're missing is volume. People are scared and have a lot of fear on the future of different regulations and the volatility of the market. And if there is one thing an index fund does, is it decreases volatility and provides a more diversified and safe way to enter the crypto space. So, for all those people that have been kind of sitting on the sideline, interested in crypto and wanting to get involved, hearing about it on the news and lately and stuff, this is something that attracts their attention. We need new money entering the market, and a safer way to invest, i.e. an index fund, is one of the ways to do that. So I am a big proponent for index funds, and I think that's where we're going to see ERC20 tokens first. In other news, it seems like anything to do with crypto is being bullied by the chief executives of the top tech companies lately. Facebook, Google, and Twitter have banned cryptocurrency related ads as of late, but what their company executives are doing, or what their companies are doing and what their executives are saying, are two different things. Just touching on two of those specifically, starting off with Facebook. Back in January, the social network outlawed cryptocurrency related advertising in an effort to protect users from various ICO scams, fraudulent token sales, and Ponzi schemes. And this, well and good, no one likes scammers. So, if they're censoring that sort of content, I'd say for the most part, I'm okay with that. Where you draw the line between what gets censored and what doesn't, that might be a concern. But, what can you do? What can we do about that at this point? But preceding some of these actions, some of these, bans, Zuckerberg has endorsed cryptocurrency in a way publicly, mentioning the potential benefits it might have for businesses like Facebook, as well as bringing, power back to the people. So, he said that he's interested in studying the positive and negative aspects of technologies like blockchain, as well as cryptocurrencies, and how to best use them in Facebook services. So these are things he's interested in. Now Facebook is prohibiting all cryptocurrency related advertising though on its platform. So we're seeing two different sides here of this issue. So when you're looking into this, you don't judge a book, that age-old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Just because Zuckerberg is saying one thing doesn't mean he's doing another. So just because the company's banning ads doesn't mean Zuckerberg's turning a blind eye to cryptos. But that's not all. So turning to Twitter, on March 21st in the Sunday Times, Jack Dorsey, the Twitter and Square CEO, forecasted that Bitcoin could one day become the single global currency in 10 years' times. He's on the record for saying that publicly. And yet earlier this week, they followed right in Facebook's footsteps and banned all cryptocurrency related ads. So obviously some regulation around what's getting posted is good. I mean, it's in place to protect people from falling for scams, fake ICOs, and hopefully not leveraging their entire life savings on random crypto investments. But it's painting all crypto with the same brush. That's what, banning these ads are doing. And, this is the problem when it comes to the crypto world. There's no market, this is maybe hyperbole, there's no market that's more sensitive to regulation than cryptocurrency. And rightfully so, in a way. But when you have these news titles come out where it talks about Facebook and Twitter, like it's a vendetta against cryptocurrency, it creates an enormous amount of unnecessary fear, in my opinion. Do you really think these guys, these tech giants, are completely ignoring the promising technology that is blockchain? I mean, really? I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they started looking into it 3 or 4 years ago and how they could implement it in their business or invest and make money off of it. So, moral of the story, like I said earlier, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't take what they're saying as concrete news. Now, onto relatively new term in the crypto space, one that sounds a little funky to me, to be honest, but it's what's called sharding. So for those of you who don't know, Sharding is a type of database, partitioning that separates very large databases into smaller and faster parts that can be more easily managed. And these smaller parts that can be more easily managed are called data shards, hence the name sharding. So now, obviously, with the growth of blockchain technologies we've seen lately and the amount of transactions on these different protocols, in particular Ethereum and Bitcoin, there's been concerns about how these will scale, which seems to be kind of the MO regarding Ethereum and Bitcoin, honestly. We've seen Bitcoin somewhat address this issue by activating SegWit and hard forking into Bitcoin Cash. But the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, has recently been vocal about Ethereum and its use of sharing, being able to handle the scalability concerns, and will be soon launching their sharding testnet, actually. When that will be, we don't know. But this could be huge for the network in Ethereum, especially considering past events like CryptoKitties, that sensation, which came along randomly and just clogged the network. So interesting advances in Ethereum's future. Some have said, with sharding, they'll be able to handle more transactions than Visa. That's a tall order. Will that happen? I don't know. But this is definitely something to keep an eye on, and some pretty positive news in a negative space as of late. Moving on to other regulatory news, something I personally find fascinating is this fiasco we have going on between none other than the US and Venezuela. If you're not familiar, Venezuela, which is led by a more or less tyrant named Nicolas Maduro, has been suffering as a nation for many years now. They rely heavily, and I mean heavily, on oil exports to stabilize their economy. So much so that before the oil price tanked, no pun intended, in late 2008, about 95% of the nation's income relied on oil. No diversification there. So logically, when the market crashed and a barrel of oil dropped to 30-something USD, their economy crashed along with it. There were other factors as well, but this was one of the main things. And since then, there have been food shortages, there have been riots, people are fleeing country. I mean, things just really aren't good there. So anyway, fast forward to more recently, Maduro has decided to jump on board, the crypto train. He's decided to have his own ICO backed by oil. The man cannot get away from oil. And now he claims, although there's no facts to back it up, that he has raised $5 billion with a B dollars with his ICO of petro coin that he says you can pay for things like taxes with. I don't want to talk politics here, but Trump is Trump, but the US government has been quick on the trigger to slap international sanctions on the Venezuelan on Venezuela. He put into place, as of I think last week, an executive order that pretty much said, it's prohibited to participate in, trading, purchasing, or financing of the petro coin or petro. So, obviously Maduro's using this to circumvent these international sanctions the U.S. has put on them. But what I think is crazy is that, what do people think Maduro's going to do with all this petro he has? No one accepts petro. Even if you think that Maduro is altruistic and, he's gonna spend all this money to make his nation a better place and improve infrastructure and, things like that, he'd still have to get fiat money somehow. He can't go around paying construction workers, building new infrastructure in petro. He can't be paying out petro. Maduro's going to eventually have to dump all that petro on the market in order to get the fiat to do anything with, whether it's altruistic or not. So for those of you who invested in petro, I would just be cautious. The future of the petro and, that coin, what it's worth and everything about it is in one man's hands, and that's Nicolas Maduro's. So anyway, that's all I kind of have for now. Just to wrap things up, I know, some of you all want to know, more about price action, what to buy, when to sell, and things like that. But I think the first step to smart investing is to get a better idea of what is going on at a macro level, so you can make smarter decisions at a more individual investing level. And hopefully that's something, like I said at the beginning of the video, that I can help you with. Things you can expect from the channel, I guess, moving forward, is number one, at least a weekly update. And then number two, I'll also be peppering in some coin and technology overviews. But, I hope you got something out of today's video. Again, a like or subscribe would be greatly appreciated. And I hope to see you all here again next week. Thanks so much.